one of the biggest topics that's just plaguing the world, but more specifically for this video, design in general, is just this whole design versus AI thing. And now we've entered the phase of when will design take over, not if anymore. And I think there are instances where for sure design will continue to take over many jobs. And I think there's plenty of instances where it can't, because there's certain things about humans and you and I and all of our friends and family that make us unique that can't be replicated. And artificial intelligence is not actually intelligent. It's this amalgamation of information that's already been put out into the world. And there are plenty of aspects about you that make you more human, obviously, because it's very 1984 to just hear the way that some people talk about, like, oh, now it can has the intelligence of two humans, not just one anymore. I started graphic design almost 7 years ago, and I've been self-taught before I went to college. And um, I felt like before I started my freelance job, or my freelance business rather, I thought to myself before I started, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I feel like I'm like entering like the Jurassic era on my own. And is this right for me? And am I just kind of lingering around like the fly, like the fly trap, and waiting for all this to die out? And part of me thought that for a long time. But I think actually becoming my own business owner in design has given me a new, more hopeful perspective. And I like to believe it's not just because I'm trying to convince myself that I'm going to have a job in 10 years, or hopefully even two, but it's because I've been exposed to just working directly with people and understanding what they love and hate, and what they're looking for as business owners, as like that are investing in my services, that really just helped me reframe my perspective on the capabilities and the limitations of AI. The first thing is that I think AI is, yes, it's taking a lot of jobs, but there's bigger, things that are taking clients away from people potentially. And one of the biggest ones is just outsourcing. People are, grabbing at straws and trying to just invest in a company where their dollar can go much further and they could get more out of it. And yeah, like, that I think is going to be its own snake eating its tail eventually. But at this stage, AI is taking over jobs, but I don't think at any of the same rate as like outsourcing is. And then there's the big scare of that happened years ago. I remember, I think I was just starting college when a lot of people were talking about this, and it was a big topic of conversation, was just the whole Fiverr wave. And a lot of people, I mean, still to this day, I've had a few clients where I go and I see their logo and they send it to me and it still has the Fiverr watermark. Honestly, when you're at that stage and like you're seeing like, okay, am I losing clients to Fiverr? Part of me thought like, yes, you are losing clients to Fiverr, but then also part of me is like, I mean, is that somebody that I would have even had a successful time with? Because like when I think of design, I think of it from my perspective, which is from passion, and I'm passionate for pushing design forward. Hopefully, I get to do that one day, or over the course of my career, I get to just move the needle a hair, and I'll be over the moon and blew past all my expectations for myself. And that's one of the things that I think just AI is gonna be incapable of doing, is that, looking forward and pushing that boundary. Because when you have this like artificial intelligence that's like not actually intelligence, it's based off of what's already happened. And like, yes, the history is important and history repeats itself even in design. Like, and we see so many things, especially in fashion, come back. Like now, like people wear baggy stuff, and you see like certain brands and clothes are resurging. But I think in design, we're always trying to see what's next, and part of that history repeating itself is guessing what's going to be next. Is it going to be something new, or is it going to be a revival, or is it going to just be like a continuation or something that we don't expect. And it may not be this like huge cultural shift or this huge global shift, like how Apple has went back to like the liquid glass look and like I forgot the name of it, but it's like those pictures with like the dolphins and the bubbles and stuff like that. Like we're seeing one company do a revival of one thing, and we may see another company do another revival of another aspect, and we may get like those like old like Xbox, like OG Xbox like menus and like cyber stuff. And it's you never know what's going to come next. And honestly, like that stuff is strategy. And while at the time it may have just been people being creative, a lot of it was strategic thinking. And I think that's I know at this point, and that comes from like the experiences I've had so far, and I think it's only going to grow more as I keep doing this, is that the uniqueness of humans are just irreplaceable. And yes, there are some jobs and aspects of a job that can be automated by AI, but I think partially like you as a designer should also not push against this current, and yes, like adopt AI where you can. And I mean, not from a design aspect. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. I mean, you'll make it easier for me to stand out. But in my instance, I don't use AI to design anything. But what I do use AI for is, I have a limited set of time every day that I can work. And I'm already balancing another job on top of this and life on top of that. So I use AI very specifically to take notes. And that's been around for a long time, but I use this AI recorder, and it records everything and it will transcribe it for me, and it takes credits like all AI does. But I see an immense value in that because the return time I get from that allows me to go further into this like boutique design. And I'm not implementing the efficiencies, quote unquote, in every aspect to where now I am just a mirror for this like LLM and this like Wizard of Oz character that's just sitting behind the curtain with their chat GPT anyway, and like creating this false sense of value that I'm giving to clients. Like I'm doing and doubling down on what I believe makes graphic design special, what makes advertising special. And that's just your unique perspective as a human being, like you, like your friends, your family, your professors who may have taught you, or just anybody that is teaching you online. They're all individuals. They all do a certain thing very particularly. When you saw, if you're a graphic designer, I'm sure that we all know a million different designers that we've looked up to, whether in school or to this day, and you've had to write essays about them, about how they push the boundary. And they didn't have these LLMs, they didn't have these things, but what they did have was the ability to still iterate quickly and to still work efficiently. For example, that's why we learned thumbnail sketches. Thumbnail sketches are something I still do to this day. I did them yesterday, and I'll probably do them today and tomorrow too. I've gotten more and more into thumbnail sketches as I've been implementing AI to help make certain parts of my business efficient. And it's reignited a passion for me in design that just only makes me love it deeper. So many times where even when I was in design school, this was like not even that long ago, like 7 years ago, we would get a brief and it's like, okay, design a thing for this type of company. First thing people do is open the OG AI, Adobe Illustrator. They will open Illustrator and just start designing right away. And I even see this to this day in like agencies and just professionally, other people that I know who are in graphic design. Some people will just get a brief, open Illustrator, start doing it from there. And yeah, I have been, I'm guilty of that as well in the past. But for so far, I've been running my business for the past 7 months almost. I've purely been going back, and I've been implementing more analog ways of doing things. And I think a lot of these like individualized tools, like I know I'm like speaking about pencil and paper in like such like a weird abstract way, but no, literally like a pencil and paper. These are two of my notebooks. I have a traveler's passport and I have field notes. Some of what I do is just straight thumbnail sketches. And I mean, like, please don't look at these too hard. They're probably not that great. One of the projects I'm working on, a personal project for my portfolio and just for fun, is doing badges based off of the theme of the different departments in Lumen from the show Severance. So just kind of like coming up with like insignias or badges for the different, like the macro data refinement, the mammalians, relatable or whatever. And then like in this notebook, I use this for client stuff. I'll show you some thumbnail sketches I did for a client just like last week. I've been doing a bunch of different thumbnail sketches, iterating on some logo ideas, and one of the actually none of these thumbnail sketches were the final logo that we landed on. So that just goes to show that like it's not even to land on the idea, it's to just get stuff out. You know how it's like people try to talk to get through their problems. It's like I sketch to get through my bad ideas. And, you know, like not all these are bad ideas. I mean, there are some sketches that have come through thumbnail sketches that I've used for other people. And while it's not the exact same logo, it's something that is actually not applicable to this client at all. And that's what makes it not good. But I've had a client where they wanted this type of logo. And I was like, I think I have like a sketch that is like 80% there. So then I was like resketching it multiple times. And then that's just the process of doing these things. And this is what I believe is the human aspect of design. And if your value is solely in output, then you are no different than these computers. You're no different. And you will get swept up. You will become the dinosaur. You need to become invaluable in other ways. A lot of people don't hire designers just because they're the best designer. A lot of people hire designers because they like their personality. They can have good conversations with them. They understand them. They're empathetic. They have background in a similar business into which they are operating in. They're being referred to other. I mean, that's purely what referrals are. It's not because just like they're an amazing designer. It's also they're amazing to work with, and that they're so awesome. They're so nice. They get things back on a certain time. They don't BS me and all that stuff, and they're very honest about the work. So we're kind of laying our hats on, in my opinion, our values in just the mirrored values that like make AI efficient. And we have so much more depth than that. And especially for design, there's so much more that goes into it. I follow a ton of people that paint signs, you know, and that's not something a computer could do. It could do it. I'm sure if you take an image and you have it replicated, it can do it. But there's still people that see value in good work. And I think that that's what you should try to seek out. And that's not the easiest thing, especially if you are just trying to go right into freelancing. And it may not be as easy if this is your primary gig and like you're not working and gaining an income from another source while doing this. But if you are, I suggest maybe just gaining more education that separates you from the pack. While you may be able to design a website, yeah, you could design a website, but do you know how to make it accessible for other people that are using like accessibility technologies? Are you doing things as simple as like alt text? Do you know anything about SEO? Now, do you know anything about AEO? Do you know anything about analytics? Do you know anything about KPIs? Do you know anything about storytelling? You know, do you know anything about production? Do you know anything about post-production? Like, there's a million ways, and I can just sit here and think about a million skills that can be brought into your practice and into your designer's Batman tool belt. And that was something that a lot of professors said to us is like, you know, put as many tools in your belt as you can fit. And that's something that stuck with me because I'm somebody that is interested in learning new things just for the fun of it, not necessarily just to employ it into a pure like monetary gain aspect, but just because I think a lot of things, like when people do things at a high level, I just find it interesting no matter what it is. I'm not a big sports fan, but if somebody is amazing at soccer or what's her name, who just won the gold medal in not skiing, ice skating, I'm enamored by that stuff. And, you know, we are all too. Like, I think everybody is to some degree. And when you are finding a client that wants a good designer It's not just because they want good designs, it's because they don't want to have to think about certain things and they can't afford to think about certain things. And we are using money, or they're using money in the aspect to buy themselves time and to save themselves time. So, in summary, I would say use AI to buy yourself time, whether it's, you know, generating reply emails, thinking about some extra copy for a piece that you're working on, if a client asks you to do so. I know that there are 1,000 ways to do it and it's changing every day. I personally don't use it to design in any of my work, but if you find efficiencies in that, I mean, who am I to tell you you can't? It's up to you. It's what you want to do. But yeah, let me know what you think, what your perspective is on AI in this instance. It's interesting. I would be really interested, to hear from anybody that's currently in design school or in college right now, because I can imagine. I mean, it must be brought up daily in any and or all classes. You know, when I was in school, we were talking about Fiverr. We were talking about like, oh, Figma just came out. Like, we were all freaking out about how cool Figma was. Um, but yeah, let me know your perspective, and if I'm completely off base, let me know too. It is what it is. But thank you.